Brooks Co I always suck with his last name.
Kepka.
Koepka suddenly wanting back on the PGA Tour is peak grass isn't greener energy. Yeah, you know, I remember when all this stuff happened with the Live Tour or LIV, right? Or
Live.
Live, yeah. And you know the money the Saudis were sort of giving to these golfers, thinking it was a lot better because there was more money. Honestly, after that first year, quality's been poor. You haven't seen it much. I saw a little because I started golfing a bit more. I still suck very much, so don't judge me on my golfing yet. But I've gotten a lot of like things to like, oh, you go to the Live Tour for free, and I'm like, for free? But I'm like, who's there now? You know, I could probably make the Live Tour, cut nowadays. How all these, big players that jump ship want to go back to the PGA. And kudos to the PGA for standing their ground. I think a lot of people probably expected them to sort of fold when this happened, losing some big names and finding ways that they could do live and PGA, but they've held their ground. And honestly, golf has grown, I would say, in the last few years and only continuing to grow quite a bit. I think, for me, I was never interested in golf just because it felt more like an elitist type sport. I don't think us Hispanics or people in, lower income communities back in the day felt like we could ever play that sport because we weren't part of a country club. I think that's the way it was always connected. And now it's a little bit different. Anybody can play it, honestly. And like I say, it doesn't matter how you look, skin color, anything like that. It's a fun game. So like I say, it's growing. And I think a lot of these people on the Live Tour are seeing how much the PGA is getting from this increase. The big tournament that I think we may try, not this year, but maybe next year to go, the Waste Management, tournament in Arizona. Hopefully we could find ways to make it next year, do a little vlog, share the experience about that. But things like that bring so much money to PGA and to these golfers, part of the PGA Tour, that live golfers right now are sort of pissed off because, like I said, the money with the live is running out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's kind of funny is that the talk of the town when Live first started, I think it was back in what, 2022,
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is going to be the PGA, ruiner. It's going to, take over the PGA. Nobody's going to talk about it anymore. This is going to be the new
Mhm.
style of golf. Everybody's going to watch. People watch it for like what, maybe 2 months. And then we're
Yeah.
like, the quality of golf sucks. I think they only play, 36 holes, I
Hmm.
believe, in a tournament. It's like way less action. Golfers don't take it as serious, probably because they got so much money up
Hmm.
front to even go to it. It's like, oh, I'm already paid. And that's
Yeah.
probably with Brooks is like, hey, I got paid for it. That's my time to go back and, compete back on the PGA because,
Hmm.
the money's not hitting right. People aren't watching. People don't care as
Yeah.
much. And again, like you said, grass isn't always greener. But yeah, he's kind of talking about, he's got a lot of work to do with some players, talking with them, kind of recuperating some of these, lost friendships, and the camaraderie.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's not really a team sport when you're on the tour, but it's, it's also good to be cordial,
Hmm.
throughout it all. And, there's a certain etiquette that is expected when you play golf. So,
Yeah.
he has, some of that to do, but Brooks Koepka, he's a huge name. He's
Hmm.
fun to watch. He's always competitive. So it's good to have a big name like him going back and solely focusing on the PGA. And then it's funny you bring up country clubs. Like when I played baseball throughout my life, especially in high school, a big talk of like if you are walking on the field and not running or at least jogging, the common term that at least our my team used was this isn't a country club sport, get running. Just because there's that that vibe of like we're on a country club, let's relax, let's chill, this is the vibe, blah blah blah, take your time, take deep breaths. But it's like other sports are just polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's again, they just the live, who knows where it's going to end up, who knows where it's going to be in a few years. But as of right now, it just doesn't seem like these Saudi run sports have much to go off of. Maybe because, it's maybe they have some ideas, but they just don't know how to expand it or keep it consistent. Obviously, the money's going to always be there,
Yeah.
with them. But yeah, it's quite the turn of events, and I'm curious to see who else might follow.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see who else. We'll see who else follows. I think a lot of people are going to start following because, like I said, Kepka is a big name, and I think a lot of people look up to him and live. And like I said, like you mentioned, Kepka says he has to repair a lot of stuff within the PGA before they probably take him back. So we'll see what happens. And I think another factor of them probably wanting to switch because I'm trying to think right now and looking back at commercials that I do see, I don't see Kepka on too many ads, probably like sponsorship opportunities have dwindled because, like I say, the PGA is in control of golf. All golf content, stuff like that, that isn't YouTube golf goes through the PGA, and it's sort of, you know, Subway, Happy Madison. I just think of Subway because Happy Madison, um, and Happy Gilmore. I mean, sorry. But like Subway might not be going to these players that are on Live because it's like we're with part of PGA. Like that's if we go to you with Live, they're gonna drop us everywhere. And like I say, Subway's probably making a boatload of money for being on the PGA. So I think that's another factor. They got paid hefty at the beginning, but they're probably losing out on so much more. And in the long run, they're probably losing money compared if they would have stayed in the PGA.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up that point because right here, this is the penalty for live players coming back into the PGA. The penalty is a $5 million contribution paid by the player to a charity chosen by the tour, no access to FedEx Cup bonus money in 2026, no sponsor exemptions to the $20 million signature events, and most importantly, no equity grants in the PGA Tour for the next 5 years.
Mhm.
So I hope the lofty sum of money that Koepka took upfront with Live was worth it because the
Mhm.
PGA Tour estimates, based on Koepka performing at the level allowed to win 5 majors, the financial repercussions could be worth anywhere from 50 to $85 million.
Damn.
Oh, got to do it
Yeah.
for the love of the game. So you got to do and
Yeah,
pray that 5 years goes up fast.
yeah. I think you got to do it for the love of the game and also how much longer you have in the game. I think golf is a sport that you could play well into your older ages compared to basketball, football. So it's sort of Kepka still might feel like I got still another 15, 20 years in me. Yes, these 5 years are going to suck because I'm going to lose. I'm losing a lot, but after I get through the 5 years, I'm back. And if I could keep my peak performances and be able to win these cups, I'll be okay. And like I said, a lot of these other live players are younger, so it's you're gonna take a hit for so many years, but that's a gamble you took, and hey, it's part of the game. You gambled, you rolled the dice, you lost, you got snake eyes with live. Now roll the dice, you could get a seven, win, but it's gonna take a few rolls for you to finally make up what you lost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And to back that up too, I guess Koepka left for a live deal that was worth around $100 million. So let's say he maxes out and gets that, potential
Hey,
$85 million through the
yeah,
championships. He's hardly positive. He's probably already spent it.
yeah.
So, eee.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And like I say, sponsorships he would have lost. He probably lost a lot more. And from the sounds of it, he's not going to be getting much of the equity sponsorship limitations. Like I say, it's a hard one. But like I say, I think what Live needs to do, and some of these big name players on Live, repair that relationship. If your goal is to stay in golf long term and be relevant and known, repair that relationship. Go back to PGA, apologize, take the fines, take all the stuff you have to do and wait out the 5 years and you'll be okay. Those that don't care, if Saudi is going to continue paying you 100 million every 5 years and you're okay just playing mediocre golf and you're just doing it for money and not for the love of the game, more power to you. Like I say, live golf, I don't think will go away quickly because a lot of people may sign up for live. But like I say, there's a lot of risk because PGA is so strict that I don't even think YouTube golfers mess with anybody within live because, like I say, I think they want to be invited to PGA events. They want to be supported by the PGA.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, because that's where, a lot of the main brand sponsorship
Hmm.
deals are going to be from. Live isn't getting a ton of backing in that sense, because
Hmm.
of, just, where the Saudi money, could possibly be coming from. I don't want to get too deep into that, but it's just not as much there. And maybe Live will just turn into, I don't know, like just something where, players are at the end of their career, maybe kind of
Hmm.
like what is happening in soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo could be the perfect example of that,
Yeah.
going, joining, Saudi League and getting paid a quadrillion dollars.
Hmm.
But yeah, the money offered is absolutely insane. There's rumors that Tiger Woods was offered upwards of $1 billion to join
Oh.
Live, and he said no because of his integrity to
Hmm. Yeah.
PGA. Yeah, that's crazy to turn down $1 billion. He's obviously worth
Oh
what, maybe
yeah.
two. So
He's worth many billions, and even though
yep.
with all his stuff, he probably lost quite a few millions. He's still making billions based off everything, his integrity. Liv wants to offer me $1 billion. I'll sign right now. I'm okay dropping everything with the PGA because I'm never going to be a golfer that probably
Uh-huh.
gets onto that type of course or tours, even as an amateur. But like I say, if you get offered $1 billion and you're towards the end of your career and you've given everything to the PGA, but you're just trying to financially, set up your family for future generations, they may take it. You never know.
Absolutely. That was the take. I forget what golfer it was, but he said like, "Oh, I have a family, to take care of." A lot of people kind of frowned on that because of the amount of money he's already made off of
Mhm.
the PGA Tour. And like, dude, like, if you can't take care of your family with $100 million, like,
Yeah.
come on. Like, but again, the future generations, your kids' kids, your kids' kids' kids, it can go on and on and on. You're setting up something where, down the road, no sports involved, you're changing generations with
Mhm.
with wealth.
Yeah.
And that's really any professional sport these days, based off the
Yeah.
money that's earned. But it's all factors considered. And yeah, I mean, from Tiger's standpoint, it's just like, dude, like that's crazy, to turn down that kind of money. But it's kind of probably a bit easier for him when, with the amount that he's making, as we just
Yeah.
mentioned. But I think Mickelson, and that's where, his gambling debt kind of came into play.
Mhm.
And why he went to live was because he had some debt to pay.
Yeah.
So it made
Yeah.
a little bit more sense. And yeah, I guess if you're in a bit of a pickle,
Oh yeah.
you know.
It might be worth it. You
Yep.
know, yeah, yeah, Mickelson didn't want to be like a in-house, coach and instructor at Top Golf in Vegas, so he's like,
Yeah.
I gotta go to live or else this is my future, playing on the tour and living at Top Golf, showing all these drunk people how to golf and how to swing, so there's a lot of reasons why people do things, I'm never gonna be one to judge. For me, I said, I'd take 1 billion from the Saudis, but like I say, if I was already ingrained with the PGA, they gave me the opportunity, and I was making decent money, I think I'd stick with PGA because, like I said, the opportunities are just so much more because it's a well-known brand, sponsorship deals, clubs, all that. You're gonna get a lot of that comped, if you're a professional. Whereas in Live, you're getting $1 billion, but you got to pay for all your travel. You probably got to pay for all your golf clubs, your golf balls, your golf gear. And like I say, Nike isn't sending you their new stuff every year. Every year you got to buy it. So it's like you got to look at that factor as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's not heavily televised. I think it's kind of tough to watch as well.
Hmm.
The crowds seem to lessen over time as well.
Yeah.
I haven't even really heard much about Live in the last year, not even clips on social media. But quickly just to get back into the Mickelson thing, and I guess his deal was worth 200 million. And he, according to a book that was written a couple of years back by
Hmm.
Billy Walters, Mickelson wagered more than $1 billion over 3 decades and lost close to 100 million in
Dang.
gambling bets. So, maybe in that sense, if again you're in a bit of a pickle, it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, end of career stuff, maybe that's just where it turns into and what it kind of stands and, kind of has a equilibrium to
Yeah.
what soccer is.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. 2026 next tournament's Live Golf Riyadh, February 4th to 7th. So the tournaments for them start from February all the way through August. So we'll see how they do. They got a 25 million purse. So that's how much money is on the line for some of these players. Um, yeah, Bryson DeChambeau, he's part of that group as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we'll see what they do in 2026. We'll see if they find ways to show more, but I feel like we probably won't see them as much.
Yeah, they're kind of just following suit to what their plans were back in 2022. Like it looks like they're still trying to secure more TV deals, get new
Hmm.
players, staging events.
Hmm.
Not much
Yeah,
has changed.
yeah, and like I said, that's the hard thing. Like the TV deals, like CBS isn't going to do it because they're already so committed to the PGA and all their tournaments because they know they sign a deal with Live. PGA is just going to pull them and
Hmm.
void their contract and go to some other and give more to NBC wherever they have it. So it's sort of like Live is struggling to find that. You got to find these providers and these networks that don't show any golf and take a chance on it. I'm thinking Dazin's one that probably has a lot of Live because I think
Hmm.
they do a lot of like boxing, UFC, international stuff. So,
That
um,
makes sense.
you know,
I see TNT Sports signed them for in the UK and Ireland for the 2026 season.
yeah,
I don't know how many people watch TNT in the UK and Ireland though.
yeah,
It could be far different because TNT's even struggling here in the States. They couldn't even hold the NBA crew
yeah,
with Shaq and Kenny and everybody and
yeah.
Charles. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see if anybody else is willing to take the risk to follow
Mhm.
suit and join the PGA the Wake Up guys moving forward. Because yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. Grass isn't always greener.
Yeah, no, it's not always greener. It looks green at the beginning. The first like 20 feet is probably green, but once you get there, it's all dried out. It's all muddy and just not great. So,
Yep.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, PGA Tour is at peak. I think they're about to start their monthly tournament, so exciting to sort of see a little bit of that. But